Damon, Where It Begins, Chapter 1. Naiell shivered, her teeth chattering as she stood on the ledge 4 stories above the bustling streets, the cold autumn night air biting into her bare skin. She was practically naked, clad in the minimal clothing necessary for stealth, but the chill was making her regret agreeing to this job. The client had paid extra for it to be done tonight, and now wasn't one to refuse good money, no matter how uncomfortable the task. Her fingers, numb from the cold, worked on the window lock. Finally, with a soft click, it gave way, and she slipped inside, her breath visible in the warmth of the air of the room. The space was dimly lit, with an aura of magic faintly glowing from the glass case in the centre of the room. Naiell's eyes narrowed as she saw the protective wards surrounding the fae wand inside. To any other thief, it would have been a formidable obstacle, but to Naiell, it was merely an annoyance. She could see the magic, but it had no effect on her. She crossed the room on silent, bare feet, her eyes scanning for any other security measures. She knew from a week of watching the building that this level relied solely on magic for protection. Stupid, she thought, that they would only rely on magical defences. Naiell reached the case quickly, disabling the lock with a simple touch, and took the wand. She pressed it against her skin, securing it with one of the straps from her outfit. It was just a piece of wood to her, nothing more, but she knew how much it would fetch on the black market. Humans had a strange obsession with fae objects, even if they have no real use for them. The guard's footsteps echoed faintly from the level below. Naiell paused on the door leading to the stairs, but she knew staying inside wasn't an option. She sighed, moving back to the window, and started her climb down to the roof below. All she could think about was getting back to the guild and sinking into a hot bath and washing the stink of the city off her skin. Naiell crossed the foyer of the Grand Manor, quietly, her bare feet making no sound on the polished floors. The house, located in one of the city's more affluent areas, was her sanctuary, though its true purpose was hidden from its neighbours. They believed it to be the residence of Law, a respectable businessman who occasionally took in street children. In reality, it was the headquarters for the Guild of Contract Thieves and Killers, with Law as its head. Business had been good lately, allowing the guild to move from the city slums into this opulent residence. But tonight, Naiell was eager to finish her task and retreat to the safety of her room. She moved quickly towards Law's study to drop off the wand she had secured during her latest job. As she approached, she heard raised voices from within. Law was arguing with Elijah, her second in command. "How could you be so stupid?" Elijah was yelling. "Taking such a risk was reckless." "I don't need your opinion," Law growled in response. "He will kill you if you don't get him the coin, and he will make it hurt the whole damn time." "Do you think I don't know that?" Law's voice was sharp, and Naiell could hear him pacing. She hated. Law was rarely this agitated. Whatever had upset him was serious. But Naiell was cold, tired, and eager to be done with this night. She knocked on the oaked door and entered without a response. "Ah, Naiell," Law said. His smile was forced. "How did it go?" "Fine, no trouble," Naiell replied, handing over the wand she had hidden. Law took it and placed it in a pre-prepared box. The moment Naiell released it, the wand's magical energy fled back to life, casting a faint glow over the room. Law had taken Naiell in when she was 9, after catching her picking his pocket. She had been living on the streets for a year after her mother's death, and Law had seen potential in her, training her to become his best thief while protecting her from those who hunted her kind. But now, as Naiell turned to leave, she caught Elijah leering at her as he often did. She was small for a demi-fae, with pale skin and wine-red hair and arched ears that drew attention, often unwanted. But Naiell knew better than to show any signs of discomfort. She gave him a curt nod and quickly left the room, heading upstairs to her chamber. Her mother had been fae and her father human, though she had no idea who he was. Some passing soldier who had caught Corinne's eye 20 years ago. Corinne had raised Naiell in a predominantly human city, which was unusual for a fae, but necessary to keep Naiell safe. Demi-fae lived their lives on the edges of human and fae societies, not belonging to one or the other. Many females turned to work in the bedrooms. This was not an option for Naiell, so she became a thief. Her room was a haven, decorated in blues and greens with large bookcases overflowing with novels and recipe books. Naiell loved baking, spending her time in the kitchen experimenting with new recipes, though Law often had other plans for her, like dance lessons. Naiell groaned inwardly at the thought. She always felt awkward on the dance floor, afraid of making a fool of herself and drawing attention she did not want. Once inside her room, Naiell finally allowed herself to relax. The room was a haven amidst the chaos of her life. It was filled with the things that brought her comfort. Once inside her bedroom, Naiell finally allowed herself to relax. The room was a haven amongst the chaos of her life. It was filled with the things that brought her comfort. Books overflowing from the shelves, soft fabrics, and the lingering scent of jasmine from the garden below. Naiell paused on the bookshelf, running her fingers over the spines of her favourite novels, recalling the nights she had spent lost in their pages. Her thoughts drifted back to her mother, Corinna, and the life they had shared before everything had changed. Corinna, a fae, had raised Naiell in a predominantly human city to keep her safe. But when Corinna had died, Naiell was left alone, forced to survive on the streets until law found her. The memories were bittersweet, a reminder of the price she paid for survival. Naiell moved to the window, opening it slightly to let in the cool night air. The moonlight bathed the room in the soft glow, and she sat on the edge of her bed. For a moment, she allowed herself to imagine a different life, a life without the constant danger and obligations that tied her to law and his guild. But she knew such thoughts were futile. This was her life, and she had made her choice long ago. Rune strode past Britta with determined urgency. His voice was clipped as he had commanded. "Get the horses ready." "Already done, my lord," Britta responded immediately, ever efficient and loyal. As they moved through the halls of the Azrieal palace, Rune couldn't help but feel the intense hatred emanating from the guards who escorted them. The tension in the air was almost suffocating, each step echoing with the unspoken animosity between their nations. The human kingdoms of Duncarn and Azrieal had been at war as long as anyone could remember, and Rune had been surprised when his father agreed to let him come to Azrieal in an attempt to negotiate peace. Now, after the failed talks, all he wanted was to leave the hostile city. "We leave now. There is no point in staying," Rune declared, eager to escape the oppressive atmosphere. His hand instinctively reached up to touch the elixirite stone hanging from a silver chain around his neck. The stone, shifting between blue and purple in the dim light, was crucial for his sanity, dampening the overwhelming flood of emotions he could sense from others. Even with its protection, the concentrated feelings of hatred and anger and fear in the city were nearly too much to bear. Britta, with his striking red hair, took his usual place behind and led Rune as they made their way to the stables. Britta was the embodiment of a fire court. Even without his flame touch magic, he radiated fierce intensity that could not be ignored. His hair was a vivid shade of red that seemed to glow in the sunlight, was a constant reminder of the power he wielded. Britta's presence was both a comfort and a challenge to Rune. Despite his often gruff demeanour, Britta was someone Rune could always rely on. A steadfast protector, whose fiery spirits never wavered. His fiery nature was matched by a sharp mind and an unwavering resolve that had seen them through the countless dangers. They were soon joined by Nox and Daya, who were already in the courtyard. Daya stood nearby, holding the reins of Rune's stallion with a steady hand. Her dark eyes were sharp and watchful, the scar on her right cheek a crucial reminder of her past, adding to the air of quiet strength that surrounded her. Rune had always admired her resilience, the way she carried herself with quiet dignity despite the hardship she had endured. Daya was a lady in every sense of the word, but also a warrior who had faced her own demons and emerged stronger for it. Her dark hair, tied with a practical precision, framed a face that was both beautiful and fierce. Rune couldn't help but feel a sense of kinship with her. They were both shaped by the scars, both determined to forge their own path in a world that often sought to control them. Nox, in his green and white healer's uniform, was a stark contrast to the others. With his slight frame, he looked almost out of place among the warriors. But Rune knew better. Nox's true strength lay not in his physical prowess, but in his gentle hands and deep well of compassion that guided him. His brown hair was perpetually dishevelled, and his thin frame hinted at a life more accustomed to books and herbs than to the hardships of the road. Despite his delicate appearance, there was a quiet determination in Nox's brown eyes, a resolve that he carried them through one dire situation. He was a healer, not a fighter, but his courage and kindness were every bit as valuable as a sword in battle. Rune reached for the reins of his horse Aaron, and pressed his face to the horse's neck, feeling the soothing calmness that only animals could provide. Unlike people, Aaron's emotions were simple, honest, and untainted by deceit or malice. Taking a deep breath, Rune steadied himself, drawing strength from the connection. "Let's get out of this dump of a city," he said, his voice firmer now. Mounting Aaron, he led the way out of the courtyard, eager to leave the oppressive atmosphere of Azrieal behind, and focus on the next step in their journey. As Rune looked at his companions, Britta, Daya, and Nox, he felt a surge of gratitude. Each of them was so different, yet together they formed a team that had faced the impossible odds and had come out stronger. They were more than just allies, they were friends, bound by the trials they had faced and the loyalty they had forged.